Eclipses. Okay, so this is the sun here. We're looking at the moon at different locations around Earth. We're looking down at Earth on the North Pole, and you can see the lit up portion of the moon and the Earth, and then the dark portion. What you often don't think about, or often don't see in these diagrams, is the shadows that are cast. Okay, so the moon is casting a shadow off into space. So maybe we look at it like this. I really like to see it this way. Always say not to scale here. Sun's way bigger. So the sun and the moon and the Earth, and you look at the shadows going off into space, and we're really interested in this darker shadow, the darker shadow. So in this case, the moon, that area of Earth is in the shadow of the moon during the day. That is going to be an eclipse for those people, and it's going to be a solar eclipse, okay? And that's when the sun is blocked out. So eclipse of the sun, that's the way I like to remember. Whatever that word is, solar eclipse means the sun is being blocked out. It's totally cool when it happens. It gets dark in the middle of the day, but it is kind of rare to happen. But that's a solar eclipse, and that is when the moon is in between the Earth and the sun, and everything lines up just right to cast a shadow on Earth. Here's another diagram of it here, a little more simple. Same basic idea is the moon is between the Earth and the sun, and it doesn't show the shadow here, but it would be casting a shadow onto Earth if it's in the exact right spot, right orientation. It doesn't happen every time. There's more complicated than that, but no solar eclipse is this. And this is from a Regents exam. This will show sort of what the solar eclipse would look like. This is the sun behind. The black is the moon blocking out the sun. That's their rendition of it. This is another diagram here that shows the stages of a solar eclipse. This is like a total solar eclipse. Or totality, and then this is the moon moving in front of the sun and then away from the sun in maybe the few hours leading up and then after. But this is the like a progression showing the stages of a solar eclipse. And here is a typical question where it says which two celestial objects are represented by letters A and B, and a partial to B here and A, and the answer is this: the A is the sun and B is the moon. I believe this was a multiple choice question, and that was it. So you have to understand something about a solar eclipse and like what it represents and what's going on. Now, a lunar eclipse is when the moon is in Earth's shadow, or an eclipse of the moon. So in this case, if now you have the Earth is between the moon and the sun. And again, this has to be like lined up just perfectly. There's a lot more going on here. And then this, if you can envision, the shadow is all of this here, and the moon moves into the shadow. So it would be, you have a full moon, and then it will slowly move into Earth's shadow. It gets blocked out, and then it comes out, and you see the full moon again a few hours later. And here what you have, so what locations would you experience a, let's say, a lunar eclipse? Okay, if sun's rays, so you experience a lunar eclipse here, okay? And where would the moon have to be for there to be a solar eclipse? The moon would have to be here, okay? So that's some basics on eclipses, important to know.